All right, so if you look in the front of your project book, although all of our projects offer a lot of different activities and are laid out sometimes a little bit differently, most of them are pretty similar in what they list there in the front 2 or 3 pages. And one of the first things that it talks about in our project book is our project helper. So we're all, we're not experts necessarily in the field that we're taking a project in. That's the reason why we take 4-H projects, is to learn new things and new skills. So along the way, we might need some help. So we do want to look for a project helper, and things to think about as you're trying to choose that person to help with your 4-H project is who would be someone who's easily accessible. So you want somebody that you can meet with, preferably more than just one time. Maybe it is your parent, maybe it's an advisor or a relative, or maybe it's even an older 4-H member in your club that has already taken this project and has some experience. So think about somebody that you could meet with, even if it's, in a year like this, maybe you're meeting via Zoom or Facebook chat or something like that, and getting some, interaction that way. The next thing to think about is somebody that has some experience in your project area. So if you were taking a food and nutrition project, you probably don't want to choose someone that has no cooking experience. Or maybe if you're taking a fishing project, you're probably not going to want to choose someone who's never gone fishing or doesn't enjoy that kind of thing. So think about someone that has some experience in your project area, enjoys doing those activities. It doesn't have to be a professional, and they don't have to be an expert. They just have to be willing to work through the project book with you and kind of guide you along. Next, after you kind of identified a person and you think they might be interested, you want to ask them to read the front part of your book that says a note to the project helper. This is a really important thing for them to look at before they commit to helping you through the project through the whole summer. It does kind of outline all of their role and responsibilities and walks them through what might be expected of them to help you get through this. And then just be aware that they are there to offer support and suggestions and constructive feedback. They're not there to do the activities for you. You should be doing that on your own. But if an activity maybe doesn't go exactly right, you don't get the results you want, they're there to offer maybe some suggestions of different ways to try that, constructive feedback, or maybe things go perfectly and they're there to cheer you on and give you a little pat on the back. So just be aware of what their role is yourself. All right, the second part of your project book is the member project guide. So the most important thing is that you need to read through this before you get started. I know it's really tempting sometimes to just jump into the first activity and skip over all this reading part, but this is an important part of your project as well. This is broken into 4 sections in most of our newer books. And the first section is activities. So it's going to list all of the activities that are in the project book and are involved in that project. And it will tell you how many of those activities that you need to complete in the book. Sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 11. It kind of varies, especially by how difficult the project level and that kind of thing. So that does give you a list of activities. It typically has maybe a little checkbox so that as you do them, you can check those off and put the date and things like that. The next section is the learning experiences. All of our projects do ask that you take or complete at least 2 learning experiences, and these can be a lot of different things. This is taking an activity in your book and kind of taking it to another level. Maybe doing a demonstration on one of the activities at your club or on your club Zoom, or however you're meeting virtually right now. It might be helping to organize a club meeting or a field trip that's related to your project, maybe having a guest speaker, something like that. County project judging is one of your learning experiences as you go and talk to an adult about what you've done and get some feedback. And then this project clinic is also a learning experience that you can log into your book. So when we get off of the Zoom this evening, I'd like you all to open up to that page in your book, the second or third page there, and put Non-Livestock Project Clinic. You guys attended a virtual project clinic, and you can put today's date and mark that down as one of your learning experiences. The next section is our leadership and citizenship activities. Most of the projects say that you need to complete at least 2 of these. And again, this can be a lot of different things. It could be something as simple as encouraging another member to take a project that you have, or maybe helping them get started in their project. If you're taking a more advanced food and nutrition project, maybe you help another member get started in an easier or beginning level. It could be something, a community service that ties in into your project. The laundry project, I know, suggests maybe helping an elderly neighbor do their laundry, or organizing a fishing day if you're taking a project like that for underprivileged youth. And finally, our 4th section in this is your project review. And most of the time in our project book, this is going to be a page that says project review at the top, and it has a lot of blank lines for you to write. And this is really the opportunity at the end of your project to reflect on all the activities that you've done and kind of figure out what skills you learned from this project and how you can use those in the future, whether it's with a different project or just in life in general. So project review is an important part. Some of our projects are multi-year projects, so we want to make sure that we are keeping those record books. You don't want to have to start over each year, so most of our multi-year projects build upon year 1 and then have a separate section for year 2. So make sure that you're reading carefully and completing the activities for year 1 if that's the year you're in, or year 2, or so on. Make sure that you put those books somewhere in a folder or a binder, somewhere that you can find them the next year, where they won't get torn up. Projects like our photography project encourage members to revisit some of the activities and maybe think about a different way or a different twist on those. So looking for ways to expand the skills that you learned in year 1 for successive years. All right, now you've gone through your activity book. Now you're ready for county judging. So I will say we are a lot of different counties on the Zoom. This is, we opened it up clear across the state of Ohio, and each county has different requirements. So I do want you to be sure to check with your county extension office for your county requirements, especially in a year like this when things might be a little bit different than they have been in the past. So even if you're a returning member, you need to make sure you know what's expected of you for judging. And presentation matters. So you'll hear a little bit later about how to make a good poster presentation, but your book presentation matters as well. So just try to make sure that you are filling your book out as neatly as possible. If you need to use a pencil, that's probably fine, unless it's, so stated otherwise in your county guidelines. If you do use an ink pen, make sure that you're writing neatly. Try to use the same color ink throughout. And just make sure your book is filled out as completely as possible. So don't leave a lot of blank spaces in there. And then I'll just reiterate again, make sure that you're checking with your county office to see if there's anything additional, whether that is some projects call for an additional display of some sort, or a food portfolio, a journal. Scrapbooking requires a scrapbook. So just make sure that you have all those extra pieces as well before you head to project judging. So that's really all I have about completing your project book. Are there any questions?